Northern Spain. A cave system called Cima de los Huesos, the Pit of Bones. The only way in, a vertical shaft, 40 feet straight down. No stairs, no path, no way to fall in by accident. At the bottom, scattered in the darkness, the remains of at least 28 people. And one skull, pieced together from 52 shattered fragments, tells a story unlike any of the others. 2 holes, punched into the forehead, above the left eye, identical in size, identical in shape. This is not a story about an accident. This is the oldest murder case ever discovered. 430,000 years old. Before you say, maybe he just fell. Let me stop you. Scientists asked that exact question first, and they ruled it out. Because falling 40 feet down a shaft does not create 2 identical wounds in the exact same location, with the exact same shape. So the real question isn't, did someone die violently 430,000 years ago? The evidence says they did. The real question is, how do you solve a murder with no body camera, no fingerprints, and no witnesses 400,000 years later? The answer involves forensic science, ancient bones, and a mystery that's still not fully closed. Let's start with the location. Cima de los Huesos was discovered in 1984. For over 30 years, archaeologists have excavated this cave. They've recovered nearly 7,000 bone fragments, belonging to at least 28 different individuals, all dating back to the Middle Pleistocene, roughly 430,000 years ago. But here's the strange part. The only entrance to this chamber is a vertical shaft, over 40 feet straight down. No animal falls down a shaft like that by accident and survives long enough to explain how they got there. And no living person climbs down a 40-foot vertical shaft just to die at the bottom. So the question archaeologists have debated for decades is simple. How did 28 bodies end up at the bottom of an inaccessible pit? For years, there were 4 competing theories: predators dragging bodies in, geological processes, floods, shifting earth, accidental falls, or, the most unsettling option, bodies were deliberately placed there by other humans. Scientific analysis has already ruled out predator activity and geological movement, which leaves 2 possibilities: accident or intent. And one skull, Cranium 17, is about to answer that question, because unlike every other skeleton in that pit, Cranium 17 didn't just fall. Someone did something to this person, and the evidence left behind is disturbingly clear. Cranium 17 was found broken, 52 separate fragments, buried under layers of clay for nearly 500,000 years. It took researchers years just to piece the skull back together. When they finally did, one detail stood out immediately: 2 holes, both above the left eye, both roughly the same size, both sharp-edged with no signs of healing. Using modern forensic trajectory analysis, the same techniques used in real criminal investigations today, researchers examined the angle, shape, and impact pattern of both wounds. Their conclusion? Both fractures were likely caused by the same object, striking from 2 slightly different angles around the exact time of death. Here's why that detail matters so much. A single wound could be an accident, a fall, a rock, bad luck. But 2 wounds from the same weapon in the same location, researchers say that multiple blows to the same fatal area strongly implies intent, not misfortune, intention to kill. The likely weapon? A wooden spear or a stone hand axe, either one swung with enough force to fracture bone twice. So we know someone was murdered. We know roughly how. But here's where this case gets even stranger, because after the killing, someone made a very deliberate choice. Remember the shaft. 40 feet straight down. No way to fall in by accident. Which means someone had to carry this body to the edge of that opening and drop it in. On purpose. Think about what that means. This wasn't a fight that got out of hand in the heat of the moment. This required a second act, a choice made after the killing, a decision to make the body disappear. Whoever did this understood something very modern, that evidence needs to be hidden, that a body left in the open tells a story, But a body dropped down an inaccessible 40-foot shaft. That's a body no one was ever meant to find. Researchers describe this case using an almost eerie phrase: no motive, no weapon, no suspect. It reads like a modern cold case file, except it happened before language as we know it fully existed, before writing, before agriculture, before almost everything we consider civilization. And somehow, the instinct to kill and then conceal it was already there. But there's one final twist, one that completely changes how we should think about this place. Because Cranium 17 might not be the only mystery buried in that pit. If one body was deliberately hidden down that shaft, what about the other 27? Researchers now believe something remarkable. If the other individuals in the pit weren't victims of accidents or hidden killings, it's possible they were placed there on purpose by their own community, not to hide them, but to honor them, which would make Cima de los Huesos something extraordinary. Not just the site of the earliest known murder, but possibly also the site of the earliest known funeral behavior in human history. Two opposite human instincts, discovered in the exact same pit. The instinct to kill and conceal, and the instinct to grieve and honor the dead. Both present 430,000 years ago, long before we assumed humans were capable of either. Here's what I want you to take from this. We like to imagine violence as something modern, a product of greed, of cities, of civilization gone wrong. But Cranium 17 tells a different story. 500,000 years before courts, before laws, before justice systems, someone already understood how to kill and how to hide it. That instinct isn't new, it's ancient, it's us. But so is the other instinct found in that same pit, the one that carried bodies down into darkness, not to erase them, but to keep them together, even in death. Whatever happened in that cave 430,000 years ago, both sides of human nature were already there. The capacity to end a life and the capacity to mourn one. We never really left that pit, we just built cities around it. Subscribe to Human Roots. Comment below. Do you think we ever solved this case? Or is Cranium 17 still out there, waiting for justice? See you next time.